Yeah. So during the COVID period, business was like all of us, we had to stay home, and I was like, instead of staying home, why don't I go and provide support to the Ministry of Health? So I was actually roped into the COVID digital communication task force, and I was managing the Ministry of Health social media during that COVID period. It was not easy, but it gives me an opportunity to actually learn um, how to tell stories online. And as a country, we don't tell our stories. And at times, we need to provide support where you as a young SME, you can sell your service through showcasing what you can do. And right now, I'm roped into the country's UHC digital committees, and various brands right now want to work with me because the work I did during the COVID. It's not easy being on the front line. And the work I do is telling stories which are never told of frontline workers, nurses, doctors, patients. As in, I have seen death of this COVID pandemic. I've seen people suffering. So I really want to encourage SMEs to tell their stories. Use this COVID period to tell positive stories. Let's use negative stories to actually show resilience, to show hope, to bring in uh, leadership, and also just mentor this young generation. So during this COVID period, I actually won a presidential award that was bestowed state commendation for the work I was doing for the COVID pandemic. That shows how that as a young SMEs, we don't have to wait for business to come to us. We can actually go look for business, show your work, and work will come to you. And I was also nominated as one of the 14 global UN Foundation plus social good storytellers globally. I've become a powerhouse in Africa globally where I'm invited to speak in forums. As in, that shows you that as an SME right now, my business model was to provide support to brands. Right now, brands are looking for me because of the work I did for free. So it shows that the digital space is the future. As a young SME, are you in that platform? What kind of stories are you telling? Are you willing to go far and beyond? Like we've been to 155 schools, self-funding, where you just put my fuel, go to a school, and offer mentorship. As in, we've had so much response from schools where we offer counseling, we offer first aid training, digital literacy in storytelling, and and right now I'm actually part of the fire response committees where I hear their stories. I'm part of the nursing committees. I hear their stories. So in a nutshell, telling stories around the spectrum. If you tell our stories, if you're an SMEs, tell your stories from a health angle, tell your story from an emergency angle, tell your story from COVID angle. Let's not focus on always the negative bit. Let's not always complain that we don't have money. Social media is free. The internet is free. Use it. Do live streams. Join conversation. Show your work. Volunteer. Like I've mentored so many young SMEs in the slums, and many young guys on social media where I tell them, please know your digital footprint. Like how I end up on this forum, Linda Onyango actually reached out to me and she's like, Philip, I know you. I've seen your work. Can you come and speak for us? It shows that let's build our digital footprint as SMEs and work will start following us. So part of the digital humanitarian this year, my challenges have been fundraising. But what I wanted to do first is to showcase to the world the kind of services I'm offering. So right now, what you're actually planning, we're planning to launch Digital Humanitarian, which is going to be a hub of digital volunteers who are going to be coming to the digital space to mentor the youth. So we'll have nurses who will offer the services online. We'll have doctors, we'll have first aid responders. We'll have patients who will be coming in online just to tell these stories because there's so many stories which are not being told as a country. If you look at the digital space in Kenya right now, the youth have an opportunity to actually make their money. But if you look at the kind of content they're actually putting out there, it's quite shame. So let's mentor our young generation. Let's mentor our businesses to actually tell positive stories. Like we had World Women's Day like the other day. What kind of stories did we tell? Do we tell about the GBV women go through? As digital humanitarian, every day we receive like 4 suicidal cases from the youth. And thanks to the network I have over the years, I have volunteer doctors, volunteer counselors, volunteer NGOs, forensics scientists, where we reach out and provide linkages. So we want to provide a hub where people can actually come in and actually get help and provide support globally. So already I've got various corporates who are actually interested in actually working with us. And this shows that as a young SMEs, I'll repeat again, the digital space is the future. Do not let it go. I've seen many complaining about marketing, about fundraising, about getting money. Just tell your story and go out there, support community projects. Like for me right now, during the Dusit attack, I was not working for Red Cross, but I went there and volunteered. I went there and set up a digital command center because I've become an authority where even the police, the top security organs actually trusting me, where I can crunch that and help the police to actually make sense of the Dusit attack. And during Dusit, I set up a digital command center where we saved, I think, over 700 people from from the attack. And we were chatting with them online and sharing first aid tips of guys who are trapped inside there. So these are the kinds of things, these are the stories now we want to be telling about. As in, it's not easy seeing people die. It's not easy. Like this year, I actually got my first contract to actually do a blood campaign. Over the years, I've organized free blood drive for the country. I went to KICC and we did a proposal. We were all corporates and we got support from Coca-Cola, various hospitals provided, and we did a free blood drive at KICC, and over 3,000 people actually came and donated. This was done for free, and it shows that once you have values, when you attach your project to emerging needs, you can actually sell your mission and vision. I think let's move away from the traditional ways of marketing where you just want to, where you focus on your services only. Sell your services through someone else. So right now I've become like people call me every day like, Dr. Gol, I'm not a doctor, I need blood. I tell them I don't get blood, I don't work for Blood Bank, but through the support I've supported the Kenya National Blood Transfusion Summit, I went there, volunteered, trained their digital teams, offered them to, supported them to actually sell the advocacy on social media. Right now, they have become a power online. So when I get an appeal, I reach out to them and we provide support for blood around the country. So as SMEs, like let's say, like during World Women's Day, instead of pushing your products, how about you get your staff to go and donate blood? So while you're donating blood, you actually talk about your product there. It will actually be a win-win for both, because emotional hook is now what we should be selling. COVID has shown us that storytelling is the future. If you don't tell your story, and if you don't tell your story, who might like it? I will not listen to you. If you just tell, every day I wake up, I see your CEO, or today our CEO launch, tomorrow our CEO launch, I will not listen to you. I'll lock down. But imagine if a CEO leaves we see behind the scenes of your staff, people behind the scenes, what they're doing, the stories we need to hear. So, for example, this was World Women's Day. Talk about the GBV. Talk about what women actually going through. Give hope. Talk about how you actually coped up. For me, I'm I'm battling mental illness. I have PTSD. I got PTSD from the nature of my work. I've been exposed to too much trauma. I've seen so much death. I've handled so much bereaved families. I carry so much emotional baggage. So I get these attacks where I get anxiety attacks. I was in hospital for the whole of December. So December, January, and bit of February, I was offline completely because I was going for self-care. But I talk about my challenges online. I share my stories, and that's how people connect to me. I have saved lives on social media. People are committing suicide live on Facebook. I reach out to them and I talk to them. So it's about tweaking your business model to align it with emerging needs. Very soon I'll be launching a road safety campaign, which I was approached by Isuzu. And Isuzu, I did stuff for them for free, where I approached them like, hey, we can do these campaigns here. I supported the CSR on digital. And that's how I met Eliud Kipchoge. And right now, we're actually working on a road safety campaign. So it shows that think future. Like right now, I've managed to be part of the digital communication teams for all the government agencies, most of the private sector, the UN, and they listen to me. Because I come with data, I come with storytelling, I come with evidence. And right now, imagine doing a campaign, then anchoring it around all these spheres, around health, around security, around youth, around mentorship, around entrepreneurship. Like right now, the business model should be looking at how are we coping up during this period. There's no money. Like during the COVID period, I didn't have money. What did I do? I have a small farm in the village. And that farm, I didn't take it serious. My wife is the one who actually pushed me to actually start farming. And do you know we sold oranges during COVID period? We sold oranges via WhatsApp and Twitter. I sold over 7 tons, and I survived that with that money. So it's how do we adapt? It's how do we, as business model, let's not just stick to our missions and vision. COVID has shown us that, hey, let's shake the room a bit. Let's try and see how we can work remotely. Right now, there's a part.
That's been amazing. It's really amazing what you've shared with us, Philip. And I really wish that we could hear even more of your story. I've just been taking notes here as I write this down. And I really like what you said. Even Linda has put it on the chat about the digital space being the future. But what has really touched me is the fact that you have challenged all of us to remember to align our values, yeah, with whatever it is that the business proposition is going to be, that those two things do not have to be separate, and that if you care about something, you're going to make the way to make it happen. And you've demonstrated that in so many ways. I was curious to hear what you were going to say when you said that you have a career of over 10 years that started with volunteering, yeah, and then you've gone on to illustrate that with the examples that you've given. And I think that that has been, that's pretty phenomenal and amazing. And thank you for sharing with us all of these things and telling us how you've managed, and not just now, and it's not just this pandemic, but even just talking about all the experiences that you've had in the past. And like you said, it's the stories that tell the difference, because if you don't show your impact, if you don't tell your story or step forward in the spaces in which you can, then you're doing yourself a disservice. And I also like what you've done and challenged us to look at the stories of resilience and the stories of hope, that it doesn't always have to be the negative, and it's not always about a particular product. It's also about what is it that you can do, how can you be of service, and really thank you for that. So stay on with us, Philip, because we're going to ask everybody to please put any questions that you may have on the chat while we hear from Saum, who's going to be talking to us next. Saum Siraj, I know that you're on because you were there nice and early before 9 o'clock. You have 8 minutes, Saum. Please go ahead and tell us your story.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Saum. Happy to be here, and thank you for letting us share, learn as we continue engaging with KEPSA, and also we thank MasterCard Foundation for this opportunity. So I'm a small business owner, running 3 small businesses, but fairly doing well. There's Dukestop Freight Logistics, where we do clearing, forwarding, and transport, started in May 2016. Then there's Teleflex Medical Technologies. We supply medical equipment and supplies, started in Jan 2018. Start Enterprises, we do branded merchandise and uniforms, started in September 2018. So basically, for me, I want to quickly talk about my journey within the next 3 minutes and the lessons that I've had over the years. For me, my journey in business started way back in the 80s when I was in primary school, selling snacks, mandazi, potato crisps, and etc. High school, I sold second-hand clothing. Fast forward, university, came to Nairobi, tried to do some work here and there, but there was that itch. I knew I needed to do business. Why? Because I grew up, I had humble beginnings, but we did business because guys were not educated. So even as I sat back and thought, I never ever wished to be an employee at any one time when I was in primary or high school. I started thinking of employment when I was in uni. But anyway, fast forward this, I started selling handbags and shoes in 2012. So I'd travel to Kampala on a Friday evening, shop on a Saturday morning, travel back to Nairobi Saturday night, start selling on Sunday and go back to work and etc. This went on, but I continued working. The business flopped at some point. There were some incidences of theft, carjacking, and all that, but I moved on. So after a lot of soul searching in 2016, I hung my boots from employment and I said, okay, let me just do this. So I met my current business partner then, and we decided let's do logistics because that's what was our background for both of us in 2016. He had a registered business and we ran with it. We didn't have much money, just say about 300K. But all I know, we had a lot of faith. We had a lot of determination and hope that it was a do or die situation. So we had long days of knocking on doors, etc. But after 6 months, we were lucky. We got a corporate client who allowed us to invoice him 50% upfront. So that enabled us to have money to run the business. This went on, and our business actually grew very fast within the first 1.5 years. We even got financing from NCBA who financed for trucks. But then SGR checked in 2018, and again we were thrown off balance. So you can imagine, as someone who has done logistics for over 15 years, that's all you know. And this is what has happened. So what do? I have to think beyond that, diversification. And that's how the other businesses came up, the medical supplies and branding. So we've had those challenges, the usual ones, such as raising capital to do the jobs, funds to pay your suppliers and your staff, having the right team to work with. But to me, this is something all of us experience as business people. And that will still not make me want to go back to employment. I enjoy that challenge. So my lessons learned over the years is that first, you must motivate yourself before you go looking for it out there. If you're self-motivated, if you have passion, and you will thrive, this will reflect also in your business culture. The other thing I learned, it's okay to fail. You have to pick up yourself, try again, no matter how many times this is possible. I read this story of a lady in Meru who she's tried 21 businesses, and finally she's now doing it well. The other thing is to build relationships throughout your life, because these relationships come in handy in different ways. Be somebody who can be trusted, who keeps their word and tells the truth. Be part of something in the society. I'm a member of a Rotary Club for the last 9 years. So, living like a purpose-driven life, because that makes me think beyond just making money. Why am I doing what I'm doing? And beyond that, it has helped me to navigate in my business. It's given me through passes in so many places I never thought I would ever get there. I got free mentorship, I got free leadership lessons and lasting friendships. The other thing in business is to be careful who you do business with. Try and formalize everything you can. Some friends and family members will naturally take advantage if there's no written agreement. I remember we lost 2.3 million in December 2016. Man, I died for a moment there. But I picked myself up. The following year, we lost again some more money, and the guy who orders died. He was in the UK. But then I count my progress based on my wins, not on my failures, because my failures are just lessons. When I fast forward to COVID-19, life happens. And, most of us, our businesses stored, apart from the medical supplies for us, luckily, which now became the main bread and butter, the rest of the businesses, nothing was happening. For those 6 months, I can tell you for free, the bank statement was zero. But then we would not sit around and lament. For me, I say you have to be adaptable. You talk to people, you read, research, because you'll always find something to do. And other things when it comes to teams, employ attitude and not papers. I've employed papers, it didn't work out. But employing the right kind of people with the right attitude will make sure that my business is up and running so that they adopt to the business culture, they have the right attitude to work. And the thing I've seen with most of us small business owners is that we are so greedy and excited. We take up too much that you end up performing well or tarnishing your name. Sometimes take what you can handle. Be realistic. I know it's very good to be ambitious and aggressive, but then be realistic. If you've been doing jobs of 1 million, then you run and want to take up a job of 100 million. No, that's not going to work out. The other important thing is to be compliant in terms of your licenses, your taxes, financials, etc. Because if you want to grow, you have to have your paperwork in order. If you want to go for the bigger jobs, you have to have everything in order. You have to have your house in order. And then furthermore, you have to spend money to make money. That's a standard. Invest in marketing your business, have proper systems, procedures, etc. When it comes to COVID-19, it came with both the good and the bad, but I choose to focus on the good. The bad, again, as I say, it's just a lesson. For us, it made us more conscious of our health and sanitation. So like many other guys, we did the usual, enforcing usage of masks, having hand sanitizer. We started doing a lunch for our staff, sending out communication on matters COVID-19. But then what happened is that we checked more on each other, because we became more close as a family. COVID-19 also gave us an opportunity to get rid of redundant staff. It made us downsize our office space, so it reduced our operational costs. And I must say, we realized some profit in some of the business lines. Then introduced me to this nice whole new world of online meetings, online training, online webinars. I've learned a lot. I've networked, I've shared. I'm more even active in participating in KEPSA events. As much as I've been a member for the last 2 years, I've been struggling. But with COVID-19 and online things, I'm active, and here I am now. And it has made me as a business person be innovative. It's forced me to redo my business plan and strategy. I had never factored in that issue of unforeseen circumstances, like what happened. It's created networks, and especially to explore funding opportunities. It's moved me out of my comfort zone, and I would say, guys, there's a lot happening out there. COVID-19 has a lot, personally, there's a lot of good that has come with it. And yeah, that's what I'd like to share today.
Thank you, Saum. That was excellent. That was really, really good. And I know you had prepared this before, but it was really encouraging to hear you focus also on the positive stories, like Philip had just talked about when he was doing his bit. I really like what you said about, that it's okay to fail, that it's important to pick up after that, right? The failure happens, but you shouldn't necessarily dwell on it, and that you find a way to motivate yourself and build that resilience. I also like what you said about employing attitude and not paper, right? And all those other really great points that Linda has very nicely listed for us in the chat. Thank you so much for sharing your story. It was good to hear some of the things that had, the trainings that have taken place. I'm hoping that when you say you've been a little bit more engaged in KEPSA, that you had some of those around, whether it was access to finance. You talked about making sure your paperwork is in order, and that was actually really emphasized a lot by Winnie Ngumi, who was one of our mentor speakers in the very beginning. She also said something about, start with your ideas. That's becoming a business owner is not necessarily about capital, it's about your ideas. And you also said that it was having the ideas that got you started. So thank you for sharing your story, Saum. If anybody has any questions, again, please put them in the chat. We're going to now hear from DJ Medan. DJ Medan, you have 8 minutes to share your story. Please go ahead and do that. If you could just put on your video and yeah, tell us how you've been doing in this particular season, and of course, introduce us to your business. Please go ahead. Can you unmute yourself, or we'll unmute you in just a moment? There you go. Please go ahead. We can't hear you. I can see you're unmuted, but I can't hear you. And now, no. Daniel, am I the only one who can't hear him? Is it on my end?
Yeah, we all can't hear him.
Yeah, we all can't hear you. I don't know how we do that. What do you propose, Lou? Do we ask him to log on and log back in? But then he might end up being kicked to YouTube.
No,
okay.
he'll be able
You're
to
on a second device. Try the second device. Let's see if that works. Now?
Thank you. Now, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay. Let me do this.
Now the problem is because you're on 2 devices, one is echoing. Okay. Now you're not. Okay.
Yes, I just exited.
Perfect.
Okay, I'm very sorry about
Karibu
that.
sana.
Yeah, thank you.
Please share your story with us.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, KEPSA, for this opportunity. Honestly, I'm glad to have been in these trainings and have 8 minutes. Okay. For me, I had a presentation. I don't know whether I can share it or I can just I'll go on. Am I in a position to share?
Hello?
Lloyd,
Yes,
is he
you can.
able to do that?
Yes, you can share your screen. Yeah, yeah, you can do that.
Pardon? Pardon?
You can
Yeah,
share your
yes,
screen.
you can share your
You
screen.
can share.
Yes, yes, please
Yes.
go on, go on, go on.
Okay, thank you. Can you see my screen?
What we can see right now is your picture, DJ Medan, corporate DJ, but I don't know whether that's your screen being shared.
Yeah, this is my screen being shared from the first page. You can see from the first page.
No. Again, I think this is your photo for Zoom.
Okay, maybe I can.
And then if you
I'm
go
not
to the second one, try go to the second page, we see?
Okay.
No.
Okay. No slides can be seen?
No.
Okay.
And you've done the share screen?
Yeah, pardon?
Have you pressed on the, clicked on share screen?
Yeah, I just shared my screen.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe you can talk us through it and then we can, oh, there it is. There we go. Now we're in. Now we're in. And now we can see what looks like a cover. We can see your phone.
What about now?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I'm very sorry about that. Just lost 2 minutes. 2 minutes. I think I'll be in a position to finish in 6. But
okay.
I am DJ Madam. Now I just thought that I could talk about growing our businesses, because that is important, and I thought that most of the people have talked about many other issues, but I thought because I have been in a position to grow my business, maybe I can talk about it. Okay, if you can see, this is my second. I don't know why the phone is displaying this, but all the same, maybe you can see. I'm a professional DJ and also a sound engineer. Yeah, this is what we do. We hire sound systems. We also hire DJs and MCs. We also do some photography and videography. Yeah, and as I told you, I really needed to talk about on how we can grow our businesses. Now, the very first thing, I just thought that what have I applied myself? What have I been in a position to do so that my DJ business can grow? And number one thing that I thought is important for most of the businesses is branding. Yeah, and the most important thing in branding, there are a number of brandings that we can implement in our businesses. But for my business, like number one, I just thought of specifying on what you sell. Yeah, like for myself, I really I major on sound systems rather than mixes, rather than selling mixes. I mostly don't go giving my mixes to Matatu guys so that they can play and have a lot of fun. I know there are people who do that, and I know they really get sales from that. But for me, I specify, or rather, I focus on sound system, on public address systems. Yeah, and that really makes me an expert in the sound service. As you can see, I'm a DJ and also I'm a sound engineer. Sound engineering, I got this from experience. When I was in high school, I was the CU. I was the person in CU in charge of public address, and that's how I got my experience, and from there, I've been doing this business I'm in this business for 2 years now. So I'm very young in this business, but I can tell you for sure, having applied some of these things, I've been able to make a name. Okay. Number 2 is protect your reputation. By this, I mean that what you can do as a business, yeah, you can make sure that your clients, or rather everybody, knows you for what you sell. They know, they trust you. They know that, like for myself, let me give examples of my business. They know that when you hire DJ Medan for your event, you're pretty sure they'll be there. You'll be there on time. You'll come with what he promised. He'll not just take your deposit and he's gone. Yeah. Protecting your reputation and keeping a good reputation of your business. I think that when you brand your business in that way, you're in a position to do a lot of things. Now, number 3 is having a unique selling proposition. This is a common phrase that most of the businesses use, but I think it is very, very important to make sure that you are using very, very legit, or rather very, very conspicuous logos, taglines. Like you can be sure a long time ago, we knew Safaricom, the better option. You remember that tagline? And everybody knew that tagline. And I think that they really had innovated on that tagline. And like for my business is eventful events, lifetime memories. So I think a tagline, a logo, yeah, making sure that you're having unique selling propositions is a thing for a business, yeah. Number 2 in making your business grow after branding is marketing. Yeah, you must make sure that you're marketing your business. The first presenter had talked about social media, and I think social media is doing very well. You can do a lot of digital marketing, and I think marketing is a good thing. And I would really want us to market our businesses, because most of us put businesses, but we really don't want to market them, or we market them and we really don't want to go large scale in marketing. We just want to market kwa watu wenye wako hapa tu chini. But if you go and market your products on social media, I'm pretty sure you have a very big audience. Yeah, that was one of the ways you can do marketing. Number 2, I've done marketing of my business. I've hosted events. This means I've sponsored events, and it is for free. I am not getting anything, but I'm making my brand known. Yeah, so I think that is another thing. Okay, number 3, I mean, after branding, after marketing your business, is making sure that you are making sales. It is very, very important. You can brand your business, you can market your business, but if you're not making sales, you can be sure you are not in business. Yeah, making sales is a very tricky thing to do, because most of the time you start a business, but you don't know who to sell to. Like for myself, I make sure that I'm having events. If I see an event and I'm pretty sure they will use sound systems, I'm pretty sure they will use a DJ, I go there and make sure I'm asking them, do you have this service? Do you have this service provider? Do you have this? So that if they don't, and if they have, and I'm in a position to convince them that I can do better, then they offer me the event. So make sure that you are making sales you're looking for sales for your business. If you will not making sales, then I'm pretty sure you will not be in business. So the most important thing is look for sales. A number of ways you can look for sales is focus on the existing customers. Yeah, your customers that you have at the moment, make sure you are giving them the best. Yeah, they know that you are not just there to get their money. They know that they're there because they are getting what they deserve. Give value for money, okay? I think when you do that, we'll be in a position to grow our businesses. After sales service, learn to compete. This is a very, this is something that you're supposed to, as young businesses, you're supposed to make sure that we are focusing on. Learn to compete. Learn to make sure that you know your competitors. Learn to make sure that your competitors are not selling lower than your prices. Make sure that you know your competitors and you can compete with them. I mean, make sure that they are not outdoing you. Yeah. When you do that, I am pretty sure people will be coming to you and other than going to other competitors. I was also requested to talk about how my business was affected by COVID-19, and I can tell you for sure, I was really affected by COVID-19. COVID-19, when it got to our country and on March, I remember in March 28, I had a very big event, and I didn't do that event. And my next event was in October the 30th. So you can imagine for that whole while, I was not doing business. So but I thank God I was in a position, whatever I had saved, I was in a position to start a new business where I started loaning people some money, and that paid my rent and my areas that I had earlier on. So I can tell you for sure what I was talking about, growing a business. When you brand your business well, when you market it well, and when you make sure that you are having sales, you can be your business can grow very, very fast. I am pretty sure my time is up. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, DJ Medan, for sharing that and even taking the time to give us a presentation. We really do appreciate that. It's also really encouraging to hear that, especially as somebody who was in that event space, you know, the one that was just, when it was closed and everybody stayed home, you know, it was a whole industry that ended up being affected. And the fact that you were resilient enough, you had saved enough, that you were quick to look at what needed to be done and to make those adjustments, you know, kudos to you. Those are the stories of the resilience that Philip was talking about, that it is important to share. And we really thank you for raising your hand and saying that this is a space that you can share and also encourage other SMEs to, you know, with your story. I really do appreciate that. I like the fact that, you know, what you have said, what Saum said, and even what Philip said, that this interest in the work that you're doing started a long time ago. You know, it was high school before it even became the business. The fact that you know, that all of you have talked about the importance of being known as a person who keeps their word, yeah? And the importance of that, because that is part and parcel, like you said, of building your business. It's part and parcel of, you know, that customer service, the fact that people can rely on what you say that you're going to do. And I think that's really important. And I'm sure that Derek, who is going to be talking about emotional intelligence and how to lead with that, is going to touch on that a little bit, because he really just talks about, you know, also talks about brand and a personal brand, and how you make sure that that good things about you precede your physical presence. So thank you very much for sharing what you did with us, DJ Medan. Please put in the chat how people are able to get a hold of you, because, you know, now that things have opened up a little bit and we know the services that you provide, please share on the chat. It's still an opportunity to network. We're going to hear from Sarah, Hydroponics. Sarah, if you could please go ahead and put your video on. We'll unmute your mic. You have 8 minutes to tell us your story. So please go ahead and do that. Oh, there you are. Hi, Sarah. Shall we unmute your mic? Yoid, if you could help her with that. There we go. Wonderful. And I like that you look just like your picture behind you. That's great.
Yeah, I don't know how to remove that.
It's fine. Please go ahead and share your story.
Anyway, you can hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you very clearly.
Okay, so mine is a story of how I turned my hobby into a business because of the COVID problems. So essentially, I'm a scientist by training. Bioscientist. Ile kali. Botany, biochemistry, biotechnology. So I used to do a lot of that in consultancy and a lot of training. So those jobs just dried up. However, my hobby had always been hydroponics. Hydroponics is growing plants using liquid solutions, literally just that. So I used to do that for many people. Some of my friends, I used to do like 2 gigs per year. Some of my friends would tell me, oh, you know how to do this, come do for me. And I would do it for free, actually. Then in last year, a friend of mine asked me, so you know how to do this thing? There's a project and we want someone to help do it. Because the people who are supposed to implement were not they could not come into the country because of COVID. So I implemented, it's in Mukuru kwa Jenga. Now, for me to do that, I had to do a lot of innovation because if you know the high-tech hydroponics, it's very, it uses electricity. So I had to do a lot of innovation to ensure that it is gravity fed. It is not using electricity at all because in Mukuru kwa Jenga, that particular school does not have electricity. So that is what I did. And right now that project is producing about, it's feeding 500 kids. It's supplementing their lunch with spinach. So after that, I was like, this can be a thing. So in July, I registered the company. It is called Sarah K Hydroponics. I know people have complicated names for businesses. I mean, really. I just registered it as a business, and since then I've been fully booked, and that is why I've not even established social media or. Right now is the time I'm working on the website, but I have been a bit slow to expose myself because I did not have the capacity. So this is the time I'm realizing, wow, I need an office. I need to move some of these things from my second bedroom. I need to actually have a real office, of which I have already acquired one. And so after registering, obviously I'm less than a year old. So, and I have been outsourcing 70% of my work, my tasks. And it is great. Let me tell you, we are living in a world where you can outsource just about everything. I don't know whether people know that. I mean, I don't know if I can share my screen.
Yes, you can. There's a little green thing at the bottom. There's participants, chat, share screen. If you click on share screen, but you need to have opened what you want to show us.
Yeah.
So if you click on share screen, then you can share your screen.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Okay, so.
But you had, there it is.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So that's you in action.
Yeah, as you can see, so those are some of the things literally we grew these on these pipes you're seeing here.
Wow.
So so this is what is happening. It's unschooling in Mukuru kwa Jenga.
That's amazing.
Yes, so I'm going to show you the structure. So this is the structure. So obviously I could not do this myself. So I outsourced the pipes, the metal work, the water drip system. I outsourced all that to factories. And the good thing is that when you are good to your suppliers, when you pay them in time, they prioritize your work. That is what I learned. So obviously when companies were closing, I was able to be given a first priority in whatever I was doing. So let me go straight to the COVID challenges. So there was you remember the the materials became very, very expensive. Like, for example, in my case, buying these metal structures and the pipes from companies, from hardwares became very expensive. So I went straight to companies, to the factories themselves, and I was able to get a better deal. But right now I'm also exploring. So the good thing with challenges, they allow you to, every challenge, as far as I'm concerned, is an opportunity for new product. So right now I'm actually looking, at other structural materials to do the same. The other challenge that I faced is there was a shortage of nutrients, organic fertilizer and organic fertilizers. So, most of our fertilizers and nutrients are imported. So what happened? I decided, again, as I said, I'm a biotechnology, graduate. So I started designing nutrients from scratch. And I'm doing it from leaves, various leaves.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But could you come, if you stop sharing your screen, then we can see you again?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I'm coming back to that.
Good.
Yeah. So as I was saying, I started designing nutrients. So that is another product line that is coming up. So because I've realized it's actually possible, there is this bottle of nutrients I was importing. It was coming from Netherlands, and I was buying it for 1,500. And that is something made from leaves that grow here in the wild. Imagine, in the wild. Msituni. So I thank God I studied botany, biotechnology. So I am able to literally just create nutrients, very high quality organic fertilizer. And so I'm doing that. And again, that is going to be another product of my business. I had not anticipated that, but as I said, every problem is an opportunity for new product. Then the other problem, as I said, I did a lot of innovation. So I started growing those vegetables in something called coco peat. Coco peat is powder. It is coconut shells powder. So I used to import that from India. However, after lockdown, we could no longer import it. So I found a local supplier from Kilifi. I was very happy about that. So that is what I'm using. So that's another challenge I was able to avert. But again, coco peat has to be treated in a certain way to remove the salt. So again, that is another service I'm thinking of offering, because you cannot use it as it is. If you use it as it is, you're just going to poison your vegetables. You need to do something called buffering with calcium nitrate, science. Then the other challenge I faced is that some of my clients, especially those who are far places where I couldn't travel, like Lamu and the coastal strip mostly, I'm in Kiambu, so I couldn't travel. So most of my clients were killing their plants, obviously. So I tell them to put 5 ml. Wananiambia hii kitu ni kidogo sana, wanaongeza 10 ml. So I had now to start Zoom training them, literally. Unachukua hii, unaweka hapa, unaweka hivyo. So that's another niche I have realized, and I've done a lot of training lately, and it's very satisfying to train, because I don't know why there are very few people in this country training hydroponics. Realistic hydroponics. See, maneno ya copy paste. We have a problem of copy pasting science and technology direct from the West. What do you mean? This is Kenya. You do not copy paste. You have to bring it down here, innovate it for our local consumers. So anyway, I had to do a lot of training. I'm doing a lot of training. I love it. So I guess training is another service for my company. Hey, watch out. So the other challenge I had, now the other challenge I have now is making your hobby a business, you want to do things for free. Like I was doing things for free. I sat down with my an accountant. Finally, I got an accountant, and he's asking me, "Do you pay yourself?" I'm like, "I'm supposed to." Hey, quite. So now I have to pay myself for real. Like I'm in the salary. Sijui kuna pay, sijui kuna NHIF, kuna nini. Before that, by the way, I've been working in CBO world. It was very flamboyant. None of these things. So there's a lot of learning. In fact, that is why I joined SME, the SME support, so that I can learn these things, like bootcamp, haraka. Yeah, so I have an accountant. So I remember I was doing it for free. So now I have to teach myself that no, you have to break even, you have to pay yourself, and you have to pay, you have the business, you have that profit, you have to save it so that to sustain the business. So I'm learning all these things. And I'm glad, that's why I'm glad I'm here. The way forward for me in this business, I'm doing a lot of skill development. I want to be certified because I've realized there is nothing as nice as doing what you love. Manze, it's like you're being paid to do your hobby. This is probably how sports people feel. Maybe, isn't it? But I am now doing certifications, yeah? Okay, fine, I'm a scientist, but I want a certification saying I'm a hydroponic expert, I'm an organic nutrients, expert, all those. I'm also working on creating, remember we create digital footprint? So I'm working on creating a digital footprint. That's a website. I already have a website. I don't like how it looks. I'm trying to streamline it to, reflect the business. Because the marketing I've done so far is just purely word of mouth, and I'm saying I'm fully booked right now. So I want to create capacity for myself and also, train other people so that I can be able to, multiply my abilities. I'm also doing prototyping. So this is the thing. As I've seen the possibility of this being huge, I'm creating hydroponic kits that can be put on people's balconies, these small pieces, window sills and all that. Because when you look at COVID, if eating fresh vegetables can save your life, eating garlic, eating fresh dania, and, it is, I don't see why every home, every balcony in Nairobi, Kiambu, and all these high rises should not have something there, to sustain them. Can you imagine? Because mimi uchanga sana when I have to keep buying dania and kitungu when it can just grow there on your windowsill, So I'm prototyping several things, and actually I'm looking for funds for that because it's quite expensive. But I know I have several prototypes. I'm actually seeing them on my balcony and they're doing well. So I'm testing them right now. So the other thing I'm doing for me is moving offices. As I said, I need to move things from my second bedroom to an actual office, become a real company. Okay, I'm a real company, I'm registered. Oh yeah, and by the way, let me just give a shout out to Gava for making registering businesses so easy. Hey man, you guys, are you using eCitizen? It is so easy. Kitambo, you had to pay 50K to some funny lawyer, wherever, wanakukula pesa. Right now with your 15K, you have your company, you have even the stamp, the thingy, you have a whole company. It is amazing. So yeah, I think, let me give a shout out to Gava. Watu hawataki kupongeza hii government yetu, lakini mimi nasema hapo mko. So the final way forward for me is, as I've said, I'm seeking funds to develop the gravity-fed hydroponic kits for our people. So you can say my business model is more or less social. Okay, as much as I want to make profit, I really, I want this to be bigger, as in for people to access, specifically for their health. That would make me very happy. So the advice I'm giving my fellow entrepreneurs, as I've said, we have to innovate to suit Kenya's peculiar market. Tuliambiwa Kenyans are peculiar. And that is why, as in, you have the instinct for what Kenyans like. That is why some products never work in Kenya and others do. When you have, you have an instinct, you as a Kenyan, you know what you can use. Please stop copy pasting technologies from out just like that. No, let us innovate. Let us just customize things for our market. The other advice I would do is that every challenge you encounter in your business is a potential for a new product. Me, from my challenges, I have 3 products. Zinakuja mbio hivi. So, yeah, so I would say those are the 2 advices I would give. And I would say I'm very happy. To be honest, this is not something I thought I would do as a business, and it's still surreal because, as I said, it's a hobby. And I really like what I'm doing. If you are lucky enough to do what you love as a business, you have to be setting alarms to remind yourself to stop working. Like, oh yeah, you need to rest. So yeah, basically that is my story. Asante.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Sarah. Your energy is just amazing. So we really are very proud of what you've done. It was so good to see, like you said, a solution, a homegrown solution for a particular environment. And thank you for summarizing it so well about, making sure that every challenge is an opportunity for something new. The fact that, you're going ahead and doing the things that you love. And it really just comes across. So we really wish you all the best. Like we said, please put your information on the side, on the chat, so that we know how to reach you. And we really do appreciate your time and your very, very inspiring story this morning. So we're going to jump straight into hearing from Jim Foster. So Jim, if you could please jump on. We have 5 minutes to Jim Foxton to hear from you. And then after that, we are going to go straight to hear from Derek Banga. Hi, Jim.
Sure, good morning to you all. I've not even got my camera prepped up. I got caught a little bit on the hop this morning, so about 3 minutes to prepare for this, so I do apologize. Firstly, I think it's just awesome what you guys are achieving at the moment. And Sarah, I can't even match your enthusiasm. That was just phenomenal. To see somebody running their own business right from scratch and being able to start from zero where you have is truly admirable. I'm probably at the other end of the age spectrum, so I'm just going to try and adjust my camera and see whether you can see me a little bit more there. I've operated in Kenya for the last 20 years, and I've been extremely fortunate to be involved with some incredible businesses, primarily in agriculture. And in 2019, I went off to run my own companies again, and I set up 2 brand new businesses, one in agricultural consultancy and management consulting, and another one, which was a brand new startup in a tech position, which is a company called App for Jobs, which is basically, if you imagine Uber for people, it's connecting people on demand for casual employment, general worker positions with roles across Kenya. And we programmed here locally, and we have a huge amount of experience within this sector. The agricultural sector, I run businesses with an employee base up to 2,000 people. So we dealt with a lot of casual employees, and we could see the pain points from both sides, whether it was from general workers queuing at the gate and tarmacking and 1,000 people waiting for 100 jobs, or the flip side of businesses trying to find the right employee. And there's 2 taglines really from this: is how do you stand out from the crowd as a young person trying to get your first job and your first step on the ladder? And as an employer where I've been for 20 years here, how do you find the best people that are available? So we put together a platform and we integrated M-Pesa, which I think is just one of the most global inspirational innovations that Safaricom came up with. I think it was back in 2007 now. So what is my COVID experience? Flat out, all guns ho, a little bit like Sarah with her passion there in 2019 with two new businesses, and off on my entrepreneurial journey again. I've run my own companies previously here in Kenya and had success and also failure with it as well. A couple of major lessons that we learned. It doesn't matter about the size of your business. Nobody was bulletproof when it came to the effects of COVID. So I share a lot of people's sympathies that I've heard this morning on what happens. Two successful businesses. 2019 was awesome for my consultancy business. We were flat out and earning great cash, which was also financing our new startup. And we launched at the end of 2019 and learned a lot of lessons. I came back from the States with some consultancy work there in the first week in March last year, and we flatlined on both companies. So what do? We all sat there, we all scratched our head for a while. I think one of the most important lessons we learned was pivot, and pivot fast. Don't keep doing what you're doing if it isn't going to work. Get out there, find something new, and that's exactly what Sarah's done. That's exactly what the other guys have said this morning. And I listened to Philip as the first person online here. There's some really true things that he said, and is get out there, get your story told, and make sure you're doing what you're doing well. And that's what we've done for the last year. Consultancy is picking up this year. I think we're seeing a very different environment. Our app is back out in the marketplace. We made a very difficult decision to pull back from the market in early March last year, so a year ago. And we focused on improving our product, our offering to our customers. And I think the simple messages from myself is that the customer always comes first. That's such a simple message. But unless your customer is satisfied with your product, there is no repeat business and it doesn't move forward. These sessions, we joined KEPSA middle of last year, and I think KEPSA has been awesome for us. Network opportunities. We sit on the Youth and Gender Board, the Agricultural Board, the ICT Board, very different people from all environments there. But one thing that there is a phenomenal community of support. Linda, we sat in some of your sessions this week and last Friday, and also the support that we're now starting to get from the Ajura platform. Help is out there. Help is definitely out there, but it's got to come from you. You've got to go looking for it. You've got to get in the right environment. And a good friend of mine just told me something simple. You've got to be fishing where the fish are. And if you're fishing where the fish are, it's going to yield. If you're not, you can thrash as hard as you like and there's going to be no return. So I think really just as a simple message from me, I'm extremely grateful to those around me. I'm extremely grateful for those that have supported us. And in return, as individuals and businesses, times like this show your true self. And it's to reach out to others that are struggling. And if we all do that, we all lift up and we come back out as businesses. Finding finance, I think, has been very tough in this environment, and getting operational again. KEPSA has been instrumental with the SME loans and be able to move that forward. But that doesn't cover everybody. I think one of my messages there where we've struggled on financing this year is just never give in. It's there if you look for it. And if you keep looking, your passion, your networking, your ability to be able to come through this will show. So I think that's probably a very quick 5-minute stint from myself with just a couple of minutes notice, but I just wanted to share our positive experiences from that. And if anybody wants to reach out to me that is on the call today, please look me up on LinkedIn. I'm very happy to try and help others where I can and to network with individuals. So extremely grateful. Kenya has been phenomenal for the last 20 years, and I think a lot of it is about giving back as well. So let's all try and give back where we can. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that, Jim. It was really good to hear from you. I like what you said about pivoting fast and also fish where the fish are. You can angle all you want. If you're in the wrong pond, it's not going to happen. So thank you for that really practical advice, and also for echoing what Saum said about the fact that, you know, there's so much out there. If you research, you're going to find the answers that you need. So we're going to move right into here our next part of the session. We're going to hear from Derek Banga, who is the regional director of the Alpha Group. But he's, you know, he's going to talk a little bit about the Alpha Group. But I also want you to know that Derek is a trainer, he's a coach, he's a facilitator. He's stepped into spaces that, you know, he created for himself. He's always come across as somebody who has made us take pause to really think about, you know, the experience that we want to put out there, ourselves as individuals, as a brand, businesses as a brand. How do you build that? How do you allow a good reputation to precede you in the room? And he has the skill set to be able to do that. And he's worked with a lot of leaders and companies and entrepreneurs to really help them through figuring this out. And also, and most importantly, how do you work and lead with emotional intelligence? There's a lot of people who are talking about the fact that if we're going to survive COVID, we have to do so from an EQ perspective. We have to do so as a planet with a people-centered approach. And Derek is here to tell us how we can do that in a little bit more practical way. So Karibu Sana, Derek. I'm sorry that we're short on time. I do ask all of you to please stay on, because he has a lot to say, and you know, and he's going to synthesize it with us. But I really hope that you stay on, because he's a fantastic speaker, and we can't wait to hear from you, Derek.
Thank you so much, Wangeshi, and good morning, everybody. I hope you can all see me and you can see my my screen. Like you've just said, I have a lot to share. So let's get right into it. And for purposes of this conversation that we're going to have, I would just like to involve you as the audience. I know what it's like to be sitting at home or in your office and you're sort of a passive bystander while somebody is speaking. So I'd like to get you guys involved using the chat, and Wangeshi, you can help me out. So my first question for all of you wonderful entrepreneurs out there is your head above or below the water right now? Right now, 2021, March the 11th, is your head above or below water? And Wangeshi, as people start putting in their comments in the chat, I would love to hear what they have to say. What are we hearing?
A lot of people are saying it's below the water. It's below the water. There's one or two who have said we're on the surface. Right. Most people have said we're below the water right now. We have one, actually we only have 3 people right now who have said we're above the water, but everybody else is below the water right now.
Yeah.
A lot of people are below the water right now.
Listen, I'm not surprised. This is the world that we live in. So I wanted to also give you a little bit of background as to why I do what I do. And I remember when I was speaking with the organizers of this particular meeting, they had said, Derek, it would be nice to sort of give a backstory since we have so many young entrepreneurs in the room. So let me share a little bit of backstory about why I do what I do. And I would like to cast your mind back to September the 11th, 2001. Now, I realize that there are people in this room who might not even have been born or very young. Now, at the risk of dating myself, I was living and working in New York City. And this was a bright September day. And in fact, I was working in finance. And those twin towers, as you can see over there, were where many of the clients that I worked with had their offices. And our offices were also not too far from there. Now, again, I don't bring this up to, you know, bring these sort of morbid thoughts on a morning like this, but just to give you a backstory, because here I am working in finance and all of a sudden the world is shattered, at least according to me. And as those planes went into those twin towers and 3,000 people died, many of whom were colleagues of mine that I worked with, clients of mine, my life was never the same. You know, up till then, as many young people, I thought I was indestructible. I thought that nothing could ever happen to me. But this is the one day where I sort of face the reality that you're literally here today, gone tomorrow. And what would be your mark on the world? How would people remember you? Had I been in that building, as I'd been many times servicing one of my clients, God knows if I would have been here. And at the end of that day, which I won't go into too many details about because of time, I remember I eventually got home and I'd left the windows of my apartment building open. And the debris from those collapsed buildings had drifted into my window. And I remember going to the windowsill and touching the ash like this and remembering, as I said, colleagues, friends of mine who had perished. And I said to myself, Derek, you need to create a legacy for yourself. And so that started my journey, moving from finance, moving to communications, and eventually what I do today, which is helping brilliant minds and leaders like yourself in developing an executive presence, working on your emotional intelligence so you can connect better with your target market, helping you to scale your business as entrepreneurs, and making sure that you are seen, you are heard, and remembered for the right reasons. Inspiration can come from anywhere, even from tragedy. So I just wanted to give you that backstory. As many of us are going through a world of turmoil in the world we live in today. Okay, so preparing for this, I obviously, I've done this many times, but I decided to Google just last night, entrepreneur and emotional intelligence. Check that out. Over 8 million, in fact, close to 9 million hits. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not just a nice to have. In fact, my contention is that emotional intelligence, particularly for you business owners here, you entrepreneurs here, is a must-have. This is not the flavor of the month. This is something that you carry around in an invisible suitcase. And no matter whom you're engaging with, you're able to use this powerful, powerful way of connecting with people using emotional intelligence. So emotional intelligence, some people also know it as EQ, IQ. I would have loved to share with you the stats on whether IQ takes you to the top or whether EQ takes you to the top. But listen, don't just take my word for it. Let's listen to what some of the experts are saying. So the World Economic Forum, you know, the most powerful men and women in the world, they meet in Davos, Switzerland, with the exception of last year, to talk about the fate of this planet that we call Earth. And every year they come out with a list of skills that are needed in the following year. Now, this is a list that was made in 2019 for the skills that are needed last year. Take a look at that list. Prominent, as you can see in that list, and I have highlighted it, is emotional intelligence. No doubt about that. But even skills like creativity. Philip Ogola was talking about storytelling, which is the ultimate way to connect with your target market. People management, judgment and decision making. Sarah was talking about the decision to go into this new line of work. Ladies and gentlemen, in this world of artificial intelligence, big data, machine learning, whatever words you want to use, the skill above all else that I certainly talk about is emotional intelligence, and all of these are linked to EI. Let's listen to somebody else talk about that. Now, I'm sure everybody recognizes him. By the way, he is alive, right? That is confirmed. He's alive. He is kicking and getting on with business. All right, let's not get into the Jack Ma story. But here he is talking at the aforementioned World Economic Forum. And I just want you, this is just an excerpt from a talk that he gave.
I believe if a person wants to be successful, you should have a high EQ. But if you don't want to lose quickly, you should have a high IQ. But if you want to be respected, you should have high LQ, the Q of love. So those three Qs put together, a lot of men, they have a high IQ but low EQ, and a very tiny LQ. Women, balance-wise, they're the best. If you want your company to be successful, If you want your company to operate with wisdom, with care, women is the best.
And can I get an amen from the ladies in the house? Whenever I present this, particularly to a live audience and we can interact with them, we usually have a robust conversation about what Jack Ma was talking about, the LQ, the IQ, and the EQ. Listen, we're not going to get...
Lots of amens, Derek, lots of amens.
Lots of amens, absolutely.
And hallelujahs.
So, and he knows a thing or two. Suffice it to say, emotional intelligence, or EQ, is an absolute must-have, for fear of repeating myself and sound like I'm flogging a dead horse. After all, this is what my conversation is about. We can talk about IQ and LQ a little bit later. Okay, let's crack on. Oh, no, we've seen him already. So I just wanted to talk about emotions. That's what we're talking about, emotional intelligence. And let's start with the emotions that are not so pleasant. All right, now, as you can see, there's the waterline there. Below the waterline, there is a particular emotion, and I'll just make this simple. It can be a feeling, it can be a mood. When we feel uncertain as entrepreneurs, we didn't know what was happening when literally this time last year, the world changed. We began to make assumptions. Assumptions so crazy that we would even run to the nearest supermarket and empty it of paper products. Anytime we feel uncertainty, the next reaction is going to be what? Making assumptions. Or when we feel stress, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, the tendency is to become a little bit more aggressive. Not necessarily aggressive in terms of our physical action, but it could be an aggressive way of thinking. It could be an aggressive body language. It could be an aggressive tone. For every emotion that we feel, there is a subsequent or a consequent reaction to that. And that is what people see above the waterline. Very rarely do they know what is going on behind closed doors. So that's what's going on in your head below the waterline. And I'm going through this, as you can imagine, at a pretty fast clip, but I would love to have this conversation in more detail about where these emotions are coming from. Or when we feel anxious, we began to become a little bit more reactive. And think of yourselves in your businesses or even with your families. Every time somebody comes near you and perhaps is not wearing a mask, there's an instant reactive action, which is literally the amygdala taking over. In fact, it's called an amygdala hijack instead of using the prefrontal cortex. Yes, I know I'm using some of these technical terms, but I just want to highlight how important it is for us to recognize some of these powerful emotions, even though they might not be helpful, are doing to us. Or when we are worried, instead of perhaps looking for solutions, we become more problem focused. And yes, even when we are fearful, we begin to play the blame game. And there have been numerous examples of that, whether we blame the government or we blame other countries for the situation we find ourselves in. But to be honest, those unpleasant emotions, those strong emotions, as much as they're the ones which lead to these unproductive actions, we can also go through pleasant emotions. Okay, so when we feel that we have a sense of purpose, we begin to engage with one another. You begin to engage with your clients or begin to engage with your target market. When we feel valued, just think about it. Validation to me is one of the most powerful emotions that you can feel. If you wake up in the morning and you recognize somebody, whether it's paying them a compliment or just making them feel like they're valued, you begin to pass it forward. And the subsequent action for that is caring for other people. When we are informed, so think about it. I think there was one of the previous speakers who talked about letting their customers know what was going on. Then you begin to look for solutions, even during a health crisis. And when we are empowered, when your staff are empowered, when your customers are empowered, that is when the creativity kicks in. one of the must-have skills of the 21st century. And we're able to come up with innovative solutions, innovative products for our clients. So I'm just going to encapsulate all that by saying all emotions, whether they are pleasant or unpleasant, are important. They are. What we need to start doing is paying attention to how we feel, paying attention to those emotions, and beginning to act more intentionally. The gateway to emotional intelligence is self-awareness. Rather than going through life, feeling those emotions and reacting instinctively, take a pause. Recognize that emotion you're feeling, particularly if it is a strong emotion, like some of the ones that I mentioned, the unpleasant ones. And then there are a myriad of ways of dealing with that. But you have to recognize that you are feeling that emotion. And then perhaps you would maybe take a breath, begin to act differently. I remember in the good old days, I call them the good old days, when I had the fortune to, say, drive to work. And the bane of my existence were matatus. I hope there are no matatu drivers in the audience. But every time a matatu either cut me off in traffic or jumped the lights, the strong, unproductive emotion that I would feel was on the spectrum of anger, and really strong anger. And then my immediate reaction was maybe to pull up against that matatu, begin yelling at the matatu driver. First of all, I look back and I reflect on some of those actions. Matatu mendikwa rude boys. So that was just his philosophy, his way of life. What did I hope to accomplish? The fact is, I would carry that emotion the rest of the day. I would bring it to my team, I would bring it to work, and it would certainly not help me. Every behavior, every single action, in fact, how you are productive is linked to these emotions, which you may be conscious about or they may be subconscious. Begin to recognize these emotions and then find a way of acting in a more intentional manner. Okay. And then I finally want to say, to notice and intentionally act on these. Okay. I have a definition of emotional intelligence. I would bet there are as many definitions as there are hits on Google, but I like this one in particular because it encapsulates a lot of what I'm saying. Emotional intelligence, EQ, is the skill to better perceive, express, and manage those emotions. Self-awareness, open the door, perceive how you are feeling. Then maybe express yourself in a way that's better. Instead of yelling at a matatu driver, what I had to do was begin to empathize. That is how I was able to express myself better and then help myself and manage that particular emotion. And guess what, folks? It's not just in yourself. It's also beginning to perceive, express, and manage the emotions of other people. People always ask me, and they come to me, and they say, Derek, how can I handle a tough client? How can I handle a rude boss? How can I handle an employee who doesn't listen? Well, it's actually, the onus is not on that person to change. The onus is on you to manage that strong feeling that you are having in a way that works out better for you and better for that other person. Okay. I'd like to ask another question, and this touches again on what some of the previous speakers were talking about, certainly Philip. Are you doing anything to manage what is going on up here, your mental well-being? So I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this. If you are doing things intentionally to manage some of these strong and unproductive feelings, just put in a yes. If you're struggling a little bit, and we all are, put in a no. And Wangeshi, maybe you can help me with some of the comments that are coming in.
Yeah,
yes.
We've got some yeses, which is great. We've got a few no's, but actually right now we're looking at mainly yeses. So people are doing something about it.
Okay, a lot of yeses. Yeah, I would love to.
Yeses. There's some that say trying. Other people have talked about the fact that they're meditating. Some people have mentioned they're doing it through prayer.
Fantastic.
So and then somebody has said it needs to be intentional. Sometimes it's on and it's off. Someone has talked about journaling and doing art.
Beautiful. In fact, those things I'm hearing, I'm just going to mention them right now. We've lived with this situation for what, a year now. So if you haven't already started managing this, and by the way, it's, you know, it's an everyday thing. Every day you get up. Are you going to get up, look at the world and say, watch a tweakai and go back under the covers? Or are you going to get up and yes, those emotions you're feeling, that's data, but it's about managing them. What are you doing to manage them? And I thought it would be useful for all of us today just to look and revisit some of these strategies that if we're not already doing them, perhaps a reminder, and for those of you who are not, maybe you can start including these on a daily basis. So let's get into them. Oh, before we do that, I'd even forgotten that I was going to share this with you. Yeah, I had mentioned, obviously, you've been living with this for a year. There's a fantastic book called Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. You know, I want you to imagine the life of a zebra. So a zebra wakes up in the morning, walks out into the plain, begins to innocently chew some grass. That is breakfast. 15 minutes into this lovely meal, out of the bush in the corner over there, charges a what? A lion. Now, for the next, 20 minutes, that zebra, plus its sisters and brothers and nephews and cousins, the whole tribe or herd of zebras is under the most intense pressure. They're literally running for their lives. The lion also wants to have breakfast. But let's just say that that particular zebra that I'm using in this example survives. The zebra has a very interesting mechanism, which all of us, I think as entrepreneurs, should learn from. The zebra resets its mechanism and completely forgets that a minute ago it was running for its life. And it goes back to start eating its breakfast, which might I add, it had been rudely interrupted. Now, you can imagine this scenario playing out what? 3 square meals a day, 3 times a day, happens at lunchtime, happens in the evening. Can you imagine if you were a zebra, what this would do to your system? Most of us would say, Imaisha, wachaikai. I cannot go through this, running for my life 3 times a day. But that mechanism that the zebra has is the ability to manage stress. It is the ultimate piece of resilience, something that all of us as entrepreneurs, I think, as I said, we can learn from and we need. So I thought I'd just share that little anecdote or story with you. This, by the way, is a fantastic book. And obviously it goes into more detailed aspects as how we can manage stress and increase our resilience. Okay, so some real world strategies. I've divided them into 3 thinking strategies. Number 1, creating boundaries. Now, these could be anything from physical boundaries. For example, where I am located here in my house, this area is for work only, little office for work, separated from the rest of the house. Yes, I'm working from home, but it allows me to focus on my work over here. And then when I'm done in the evening or whatever time, I can then sort of rejoin the rest of the apartment. And I realize that area is now for me to enjoy time with my family and what have you. But creating these sort of boundaries, and in this case, it's a physical boundary, actually allows me, rather than feel that I'm being pulled in all sorts of directions, or I'm feeling unproductive, or I'm getting distracted, I'm able to focus on my work. One way I've been able to manage, and hopefully you can manage stress. These boundaries can also be boundaries in terms of the gadgets that you have, your phones, the people who are in your house, the kids and everything. Start creating these boundaries. It'll do wonders for you, particularly if you're running a business. Gratitude reflections. I think I heard somebody say that, Wangashi. Do you take time to say thank you? When you wake up in the morning, what is the first thing you do? Is it looking at your WhatsApp with one eye, the messages? How about you say thank you, whether it's a prayer or some sort of gratitude reflections? I actually, when I wash my hands, right, we're supposed to sing happy birthday, I actually thank people in my life whether it's people in my personal life or people in my professional life, or even the Jumia guy who comes and drops off things. These gratitude reflections actually have a way of creating a mindset where instead of ruminating and worrying and falling into this despair, oh my God, business has gone, what are we going to do? Actually, these gratitude reflections create a resilience and help manage stress. Diarizing, I think I also heard that, writing down. So I talked about self-awareness and being cognizant of the feelings that are going through your mind, whatever those feelings are. Here's a trick or a tip. Begin to write them down. You can write them down in the morning when you wake up. Write them down in the middle of the day. Write them down in the evening, and begin to recognize these patterns. I keep on feeling angry, I keep on feeling annoyed, or I keep on feeling irritated, particularly if you have these strong and unproductive feelings. Because in order for you to work on an issue or a problem or a challenge, you have to begin to recognize it. And writing it down is one of the key ways that you can begin to work on some of these things that might not be making you as effective as you can be, and dealing with this black swan of an event that we're going through. So diarizing is cool. And I'd love to hear in the comments people who are already doing this. Please share your testimonies. So here's, I said I'll share 3 areas. These ones I call them physical. All right, so here we go. Exercise. Hello, hello. I mean, it's not rocket science here. I'm sure if you're not doing it already, but there is a direct correlation between how you take care of yourself physically and how mentally you are. Physicality equals mentality. There are no 2 ways about it. The evidence is overwhelming. The WHO, if you go on their website, actually give you recommended times for working out and doing some form of exercise. If you haven't brought this into your daily routine and regimen, please do. If you want to manage stress, be more emotionally intelligent, and increase your resilience. Mindfulness, again, I heard somebody say that earlier. Mindfulness or meditation, you take your pick. So what is this all about? Just quickly, it's really about making yourself be present, shutting out the world, literally closing down all of those tabs that you would in a browser, but those tabs are in your mind. The tab of worry, the tab of have I paid this bill, the tab of doing this, and doing this on a regular basis to almost reset your mind. This is one of the most powerful things that all of us as business owners, as entrepreneurs can do to help ourselves manage the events that we are going through. And I have mindfulness practices that I share when I do my longer trainings, and I've worked with teams, and I always get positive feedback on this. So begin looking at some of these strategies. And then finally on this, I think I just threw in there diet, which includes just watching what you're eating, maybe watching what you're drinking as well. Just be judicious. Okay, I think that's the word I'm going to use. I'm not going to sit up here and preach about nutrition and things like that. I just want you to be aware, and there is a lot of information out there on what you should be ideally putting into your body to manage this environment that we live in. Mangeshi, how are we doing on the time? I have a few more things to share, so let me just go through these.
Please do go ahead. What will happen is we're going to have a little less time for the Q&A, but I think that what you have to share is really, really important. Right. And people are putting their comments in the chat.
Asante sana. Thank you so much. All right, relationships. Was it Sarah or maybe it was Philip? I can't remember who talked about staying connected with your customers. I can't remember who it was who said it. This is the time for you to deepen your relationships, even if there is no business that you're doing with your current customers. Call them up, ask them what's going on. Maintaining that relationship, that is one of the things that we prided ourselves during last year when business vanished, was just simply reaching out, WhatsApp, an email, and saying, hey, listen, I'm thinking about you. hopefully when things come back to some sense of normalcy, we can resume. Not reaching out to them and say, gonna be a sharapa, but just letting them know that you care about them. Remember, when people feel that they've been valued or validated, they begin to feel like they're cared for, and then they pass that forward. And then staying connected, and of course, regular interactions, and this can also be used in your personal life as well. Reach out to extended family members, your community, share with them on all of these wonderful platforms that we have, whether it's a LinkedIn or on Instagram and things like that. I love seeing posts where people talk about their relationships, whether it's with family members or with customers or with other parts of their target market. And again, this is a valuable way of managing this so that we're able to be more emotionally intelligent, manage the stress, and increase resilience. Okay, kind of winding down now. So, what can you commit to trying? Actually, I shouldn't even have phrased it like this. What can you commit to absolutely beginning to do? Wangeshi, I'd love to hear if there are people in the comments or the chat.
They haven't started to answer your question, but a lot of people have said that, you know, that the insights are amazing and that this mentorship has just come right at the right time for them. So I guess you can ask them right now what it is that they're going to commit to start.
Okay, I will ask it again. What can you commit to either starting or continuing? Or
well,
there may be something.
as you said, around continuing. So people have said deepening relationships, meditating. Somebody's going to try diarizing. That's Mark Moturi. Meditation for John. Exercising keeps coming up. Creating boundaries has come up for a few people because they've said that has been one of their difficult areas. Walking, starting to walk, starting to exercise. The gratefulness, being thankful every morning. Diarizing is coming up again and again and again. And this idea also of, you know, writing down what's going on as far as their feelings are concerned. The boundaries, that keeps coming up. Gratefulness and diarizing.
Awesome.
Meditation, the thankfulness. I think the boundaries bit, I think you've touched a raw nerve there, Derek. I think so. I think you've touched something there. There's quite a bit around the boundaries that has been coming up. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I really like that idea that you said of, you know, even just when you're washing your hands, just having those moments throughout the day. So it's not just when you're saying your morning or your evening prayer, but to be conscious of and you know, packing it into different moments of the day. I think that was fantastic. That was really fantastic. Yeah.
Awesome.
So a lot of people are talking about that. Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. All right. Just a few more things I wanted to share with you. The great Mike Tyson said, direct quote, everybody has a plan until they get hit. Right? You train in the gym, you've done the upper research on your opponent, you walk into the ring, bam, he hits you with a right hook, and everything falls apart. That is the price of being human. We can do a lot of the things that I have shared with you, and there's a day we get up and we say, I'm done. This is it. I can't do it anymore. Or we go 3 or 4 days without showering. We've all been there. You know, it's just like, I can't. This is, as I said, it's just the price of being human. These emotions are data. What's the quote? Get up, shake yourself off, and start all over again. There will be days when it is harder, and there will be days when it will be easier. But I promise you, I guarantee you, making this part of a regular routine, some of the things I shared with you and many others that we haven't talked about, actually, when you are in the thick of things, is absolutely better. If I can talk a little bit about our businesses, nobody saw this coming. Most of us didn't. And all of a sudden, we were hit with this health crisis. And a lot of our businesses were in perhaps not the best shape. So preparation favors the fortunate for sure. All right. So whether it's in your business or as I'm talking a little bit about our emotional intelligence and our mental well-being. A couple of quotes I love to end my talks with. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. A famous Greek philosopher called Epictetus said, okay, we couldn't prevent this health crisis. I can't prevent how, to some extent, how people may react towards me. I can try and tilt the scales in my favor, and that's a talk for another day. But what I can control is my reaction. What I can control is my mental faculties. What I can increase is my resilience. What I can manage is my stress. That is evolution in emotional intelligence. There are let's say six key areas that we look at in emotional intelligence, which I didn't get into. I touched on one briefly called self-awareness. There is another one called awareness of others. There is something else called self-management. There is another one called emotional reasoning. There's another one about being authentic and also about being able to help people around you. Maya Angelou, the late great Maya Angelou. People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. But you know what? People will rarely forget how you made them feel. This is you now. All right? Transmitting. There is an absolute transmission of energy. In fact, if you look at the word emotion, it is E and motion. If somebody makes you feel a certain way, the chances are the way you behave after that will be predicated on that particular feeling that that person left you with. Now, I can have great emotional intelligence and manage it well so I don't pass on that unproductive feeling to somebody else. But the fact is, it starts with me. It starts by me recognizing that that customer, that vendor, that other person that I'm going to a partnership with is a human being, and they will react to me. And there are ways that I can make this relationship work by just being a little bit more emotionally intelligent. Okay, now, having talked about some of these areas of emotional intelligence, and this was just a brief sort of 20-minute talk, there's certainly a lot we haven't covered. I am going to put a call out there, because if you are running a business and you feel that perhaps you do have the emotional intelligence or you want to work on it, or even beyond that, you feel that you would like to be in an environment with your peers in a like-minded room or an environment with people who are looking out for you, just as you are looking out for them, I am accepting applications for a board. I'm going to call it an advisory board that I am starting. So the next slide will show my contact details. Please reach out to me if you feel that what I've said may have resonated with you or you would like to be a part of this board. And those are my contact details there, Wangeshi. I just wanted to share that with everybody. Please go out and begin to be intentional with your actions. And I wish you every success and to see you at the top. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Derek. Everybody, I really hope that you are taking this information down. Derek's email address is derek.banga@the-alpha-group.biz. Please remember that Banga is with a double B. His website is www.the-alpha-group.biz. And also the other one, which might be a little bit easier to remember, is publicimageafrica.com. And of course, he's on LinkedIn and on Twitter. So please take him up on this amazing offer. It doesn't happen every day. So let's go ahead and jump on that. And to all our speakers today, this has been amazing. You know, this is sort of like the Friday fire that you need to get you into the weekend. You know, thank you so much, Philip, for just being so open and just so vulnerable and inspiring to all of us. They're all, you know, to Sarah with her enthusiasm, Saum for reminding us that it is okay to fail, that we can be resilient, that the relationships are the foundation of so many things. Even what Derek ended with saying, that this is where we, in our interactions, is where we see all of these things reflected. Thank you, DJ Medan, because this is something that started when you were so young and now you've seen it come to fruition, even in a space that was hit hard like that Mike Tyson punch that was mentioned. You know, you're still standing, you're still growing in these particular circumstances. And Jim, you know, just that idea of, you remember to fish where the fish are in order for things to happen. So thank you again to all of you speakers for your presentations, for your time. To all of you who stayed on, we really do appreciate that. We're going to go straight into our post-mentorship survey. So we're going to look at Mentimeter again, and we ask you to please participate. Regina J here, you've said this has been my best session so far. Thank you everybody for sharing. You're all the ones who made it this amazing, amazing Friday. So we truly, truly appreciate your time and your openness. So again, thank you, Derek. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Saum. Thank you, DJ Medan. Thank you, Jim. And let's move now. James, thank you. Lead us through our post-mentorship survey.
Okay, thank you, everyone. And thank you to our presenters. We are going to do our post-mentorship survey. I request everyone just go to www.menti.com using your phone and then type in the code 39589566. Just as we did as we started, it's the same, www.menti.com. Type in the code 39589566. You can also scan the QR code on the right if you have the QR code scanner. So that's the code. Then we are going to start our post-mentorship survey. Let's see how many people have joined on our post-mentorship survey. Okay, we can go to our first question. How satisfied were you with the overall mentorship session? We have 10 people, 17. You're getting a 5, 4.9. 29 people have polled. That is 7. We can make it 60 like we're doing in the morning. 44. Let's keep polling. That's a good feedback, 4.9. We are at 51, we are at 53. Let's make it 60. 6 more to go. 57, 3 more to go. 58, 59, and one more person, 61. Thank you for your feedback. We go on to the next question. How relevant and helpful do you think it was for your business? So we have 11 people. So just is a quick one. Those ones who have not yet gotten to menti.com, just log into www.menti.com and type in the code 39589566. So we are already at 58, 2 more people to go. To get us at 60, we have 4.6. Thank you. We have 63 people that have polled. Go to the next question. Evaluate the following statement based on your experience for the mentorship. First question, the mentorship was informative. Kindly pick your answer. The mentorship met my expectations. Can you tell us? The mentorship helped me understand the concepts better. The mentorship was well prepared. The facilitator contributed to the success of the training, and there was enough time to cover the topics. I hope the time was enough. I was engaged throughout the mentorship. Are you happy about this session? Kindly give us your feedback. Your feedback helps us to build up for the next training session. If we don't get feedback, we will not be able to improve. So that's why we always request for this feedback to help us improve. We are at 58 and we are at 60. So we go next to the next question. What language that you're going to apply? Just typed. Waiting to see your learnings that you're going to apply. The 3 Qs. The 3 Qs from Jacoma, brought together to us by Banga. Emotional intelligence. Yeah, today we have learned a lot about the emotional intelligence. The EQ. Take the opportunities. Emotional intelligence is taking the day here. Emotional intelligence taking the lead. We have here the 3Q, the EQ, dialyzing, deep relationship, paying yourself. That's quite good. Many people don't pay themselves. Exercising, it's always good. Dialyzing. Thank you for your feedback. Branding here, it's coming out, standing out well. Exercising, fish where the fish are. Yes, that's very good. Don't fish where there are no fish. 6 people more to go. Emotional intelligence seems to be taking the day. Thank you for your feedback. We appreciate. 61 people. Thank you. Let's go to the next question. Any specific feedback on the overall mentorship content that we could have covered in order to fully meet your expectations? So kindly give us this is an open question. Kindly give us your feedback. We really appreciate your feedback. As I said, it always helps us to improve in the next steps. If we don't get feedback, we can't improve. Satisfied. Thank you. Thank you for the feedback. The art of negotiation. Great. We could more time, or we could add more time. Thank you for that. Business services outsourcing. Satisfied. Seems to be taking the day here. Very satisfied with the learning. More time. Engage more agribusiness, more in the agribusiness sector. Seems agribusiness sector needs to be included more. The hydroponics, sources of businesses funding. So we have importance of board. So we have the feedback. So that marks
Thank you, James. I hope you can all hear me. Thank you so much for joining us, for participating in the survey. Lloyd, if you could please put next week's registration link on the chat, that would be brilliant. We're here every Friday except Good Friday until I think it's the 3rd Friday of May. We're here every morning bringing you speakers like Derek. I really, the peer-to-peer mentorship seem to have received really good feedback, so it might be something that we'll consider. I think even Linda had mentioned that in the chat. but we ask you all to join us again for training, for insights from business leaders across different sectors in our wonderful nation. So thank you again for everybody who joined us. We're going to share the link shortly for Friday's session. And again, don't forget to take up Derek on his offer to be part of his advisory board, because I think that it would be a fantastic way to gain some great insights and to grow that network that Saum talked about. So please go ahead and do that. Thank you, Lloyd. I see it over there. Please register for the next session. It's in the chat, and join us again on Friday. Thanks again to everybody.
Thank you, Wangeshi. Great job moderating. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Wangeshi. Yeah, even as we register for the next session, please allow me to invite James to share with us an event, or invite us to an event that we'll be having tomorrow, Saturday. I know James.
Fantastic. Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So here it's on the screen. So it's a cleanup exercise. We'll be partnering with NMS. I know most of us would want to take part in this. So if you'd like to take part, we have details on here. You can email Praxidis at sustainableinclusivebusiness.org, or you can email Joy. Her email address is here, which is jmaigua@kepsa.or.ke. And we're happy to just note down your name, and we'll communicate on how you can join. But you join us there at 8 a.m., then we'll share more details. But you can confirm by the email address on the screen. We'll be happy to have you. We'll be meeting in Kibra. Thank you.
It's also an opportunity to participate, like Philip challenged us to do in the very beginning, right? Where you give back to society, and everything doesn't necessarily have to be about what the payment is, but it's really just about being part of that community and putting into action, what we can do for the neighbor, right? And yeah, thank you for that invitation, Lloyd. Kathy Mwangi wants to see the image again so that they can be able to register. So maybe we have that up on the screen for a little bit. The invitation for tomorrow. Thank you. So yeah, so as you exit, please go ahead and send that email to praxidis@sustainableinclusivebusiness.org with a copy to J. Maigua, who is Joy Maigua @kepsa.or.ke. And this is going to be at Olympic Primary School in Kibra at 8 o'clock tomorrow. So please come dressed and ready with some comfortable attire and probably some gumboots, because you need something that's waterproof. And I will type it on the chat, Kathy. Good idea. Oh, and somebody's asking about next week's expo. Lloyd or James, would you like to mention the KEPSA Expo that's next week?
Well, I know you're probably referring to the SME Expo that we've partnered with the Nation Media Group. So it'll be happening at the KICC. If you'd like to get more details, please drop your email on the chat. I'm happy to send you an email right after this, and we can furnish you with more details. Please leave the email address, and of course, everyone who's attended this session will receive an email from us communicating about this session, the SME week that will be happening next week at the KICC. Thank you very much for the question.
There are quite a number of emails that are on the list there for you, James, for the people who want to participate in the expo, as well as the ones who want to participate in tomorrow's cleanup exercise. Yeah. So yeah, please do join us. Please do join us. I think it's a great platform. Yeah, and again, don't forget for tomorrow's cleanup exercise, it's an email to J Maigwa and then KEPSA. And then for the expo for next week, please just drop your email in the chat. And that way you'll be able to get an email from KEPSA. Okay. So yeah, so do join us next week. And again, thank you so much for staying on. We went over time, but we thank you for your patience. And I do believe that we really got so much out of today's speakers, and quite a lot of food for thought, but also very, very practical things that we can apply straight away. So thank you.